If you're a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan, then this will make you happy. We're going to start with Donatello, who's our first of the four famous turtles in the Renaissance. This is still considered early Renaissance, but Donatello is our famous sculptor of this time period. And he's similar to Giotto in that he makes huge strides in sculpture. He would be considered a risky sculptor. We're going to talk about David. Davids are something that are sculpted throughout the Renaissance, and we're going to continue to look at those. So it's important that I go ahead and start a narrative about it now so that we have something to base the change in our conversation on later. But let's go ahead and remind ourselves other sculptures that Donatello has made so that we are kind of remembering his whole body of work. He creates these speaking sculptures outside of the Orsan Michele church in Florence, Italy. Remember that Florence is this hub of creative activity. 70% of artists are living and working in Florence at this time. So Florence is a really important city during the Renaissance. He also created the sculpture of Gattamelata, and we want to really pay attention to the fact that Donatello is looking back, which epitomizes Renaissance, looking back at Greco-Roman art and architecture and sculpture. So the Gattamelata gets a lot of its understanding from the equestrian statue of Marcus Aurelius from Roman time periods, kind of portraying this power of this leader and this figure. So that gives us a little basis of Donatello and his sculpture. We're also going to take a look at Verrocchio, who also made a sculpture of David. And then looking back, where does Donatello get his inspiration? So the sculpture on the right, this is one we've looked at, and this is Aphrodite of Knidos. This is by Praxiteles, and he is copying this idea of contrapposto almost exactly. Notice the S-shaped figure in his sculpture. Notice that the arm is up, extended, and away from the body. This is the first bronze male nude of the Renaissance, and this is pretty radical. We also want to talk about who this is. This is David. This is David from the Bible. This is young David. He's youthful. But you also notice that he seems very seductive and very feminine. It's possible sodomy was popular in Florence, so it's possible this has some homosexual allusions to Florence. So it's not just the biblical David. This is telling a whole different story. So you have to keep in mind that where we are using biblical stories, but oftentimes telling a different story along with it. And the Davids in particular are a symbol of the Florentine Republic. They identify with David as the underdog. So remember the story. David comes in. He's the youngest of all of his brothers. He has a slingshot, and God, with God's help, he is able to slay Goliath, the giant that everyone, the whole Israelite army, is terrified of. So the Florentines identify with this because they are the underdog, and they have a rivalry between Siena. So they continue to use David as a symbol of their city. Let's compare these two. These are really similar, and I want to take a look at them together because they are similar, but they're different from the Davids that we're going to see in following time periods. So David is standing here in a very similar position in contrapposto, meaning all of his weight is on that one foot. His arm is on his hip. Very young, feminine. Notice there's no facial hair. And David is already slain. The head of Goliath is at his feet, and meaning he's already killed him. So we are seeing the victory. In Donatello's David, he's wearing a hat that has laurel wreaths on top of it, and this is an ancient symbol for victory.